Good morning, everyone. Let's see. There's Rentai. Am I correct in pronouncing it? Rentai. Ocean.
Yep, that's right.
Getsuki. And let's see, there's more. Who else? 18 people. Let's see who you are. Anaya, Avery, Erica, Errol, Jenny, Jessica and Ben, Justin, Katerina, Rochelle, Carrie, and Matt. Okay. I'm happy to meet all of you. I wish it were in person, but this will have to do. After 2 periods of Zazen, it's hard to want to speak. But you all look so ready to hear some words. So here they come. For most of my adult life, I have tried to speak for the animals, the trees, the wind, the earth, those beings who don't share our language. I can't say I've been very successful, but I've done my best. In the course of my adult life, I was a professor at Penn State University. I'm now retired, lots of gray hair. And I taught courses in organic gardening, green design, solar power, and lots of other environmentally healthy practices. And in 1995, and I can't believe it's that long ago, I established the Center for Sustainability at Penn State. At the time, sustainability was not a buzzword. And I was known by my colleagues as the nuts and berries lady. It wasn't an honorific term. I was regarded as a little bit nutty. But I persisted. And over many years, I actually came upon a great insight, a radical, revolutionary action. And that was the action of staying put. So today I want to share with you and explore with you stopping, staying put, and to find another S word, settling. But what I really mean is rest. Stopping, staying put, and settling. And I've come to believe that that constellation of actions, kind of non-actions in a way, can be one of the deepest ways to advocate for the health of our world. I want to share a 19th century poem by one of our wonderful Zen masters and poets, Ryokan. And it goes like this. Looking back, I see more than 70 years have already passed. I'm tired of seeing through right and wrong in the human world. Snow in the late night covers all places of coming and going. A stick of incense burns by the old window. I sit. Looking back, I see more than 70 years. In my case, it's 81. That's not part of the poem. I see more than 70 years have already passed. I'm tired of seeing through right and wrong in the human world. Snow in the late night covers all places of coming and going. A stick of incense burns by the old window. I sit. Coming and going. Sometimes I call our Zendo here, Oan Zendo, come and go Zendo, because people are always coming and going. We live such a mobile life. It's actually one of our hindrances. It's called restlessness. We come and go and very rarely stop. So in this poem, snow, sometimes snow stops us. We can't go, and we get really annoyed because we feel inhibited because we can't move. But in this poem, snow is really welcome. It covers all coming and going. We actually have no place to go. A stick of incense by an old window, we sit. Our zazen is the snow. In zazen, we have no place to go except right here. Just sitting and stopping. Not a rolling stop, which I've become very good at. When I come upon a stop sign, I don't really ever stop. I'm very good at kind of pumping the brakes a little bit and then just kind of slowly moving on. And my daughter always reminds me, Mom, you didn't stop. So I'm very much aware of how difficult it is to come to a full stop, not a rolling stop, but a full stop. And I've been teaching Hinhin that after each step, there is a full stop. I have arrived. I'm here. No place else to go. but this moment. So we take our place on the cushion, on the bench, on the chair. And Dogen says, when you find your place where you are, practice occurs, actualizing the fundamental point. Find your place where you are, and you can only do that if you stop. That's the first thing. When we've stopped and sit or stand or just internally come to a stop, it is less likely that we will do any harm. If we're just sitting, we're less likely to meddle in the world, to interfere with the natural flow of things. So one of the principles of medicine is do no harm. So we can begin there, not fixing the world necessarily, because usually when we try to fix it, we make it worse. So we just stop and do no harm. Do no further meddling with the world. And also Dogen says, to carry the self forward and illuminate the myriad things is delusion. That myriad things come forth and illuminate the self is awakening. When we've stopped pushing ourselves, imposing ourselves, fixing things, rearranging things, thinking we're making things better, that's delusion. If we've stopped, the world can come to us. We are available. And sometimes I think about our zazen as just expressing this availability. I'm here. What am I to hear? What am I to see? What am I to learn? What am I to experience? Not imposing ourselves, but just stopping and allowing the world to educate us, to show us what the appropriate response might be. So that's first step. Can we just stop? Put on the brakes, full stop. And the next step is to stay there, is to stay put. And this is from a Zen poet too, and an environmental activist, Gary Snyder, from his essay, Things That Really Work. I have a simple suggestion that, if followed, would begin to bring wilderness, farmers, people, and the economy back to life. That is, don't move. Stay still. Once you find a place that feels halfway right, and it seems time, settle down with a vow not to move any more. Then take a look at one place on earth, one circle of people, one realm. Some environmental issues will be attended to. People begin to really notice the plants, birds, stars, when they see themselves as members of a place. Not only do they begin to work the soil, they go out hiking, explore the backcountry or the beach. Early settlers, old folks, are valued and respected. We make an effort to learn their stories and pass it on to our children, who will live here too. We look deeply back in time to the original inhabitants and far ahead to our own descendants. In the mind of knowing a context with its own kind of tools, boots, songs, real people stay put. Don't move. Real people stay put. For 56 years, I have lived in the woods. 56 years. Amazing. I actually come from the Bronx, New York. I lived in a ghetto for most of my childhood. And when I moved to the woods, I was terrified. I thought there was a bear behind every tree and a snake under every rock. And it took me a long time to trust that this was my home. After a while, I started collecting field guides to the wildflowers, field guides to the mushrooms, field guides to the birds, field guides to the trees, field guides to the snakes. And at one point in my many years here, I realized that I was never looking up, that I just had my field guide and my eyes were always down to the ground. And so finally I found myself, okay, I don't have to name everything. That I can give myself permission to look up. Because it was an expression, I think, of some fear that I could control and by naming everything. So now, after so many years inhabiting this place, I know where the lady slippers are, the yellow ones. And I know when they bloom, exactly. And I know that one oak tree where in September, an amazing chicken of the woods mushroom emerges. And I know where there's a place where moss covers the entire path and is so soft. I can go barefoot. I know where the porcupine hides. And I know where the deer bed down. So I have become, you could say, intimate, most intimate with this place on earth. It was a slow developing intimacy, much like we have in our human relations. It took time to trust the woods, to get to know it in all seasons, to know that even now, when I go out for a walk, I see in the middle of winter the buds already emerging on the bushes and trees. Becoming intimate with a place. And that intimacy gives rise to love. I love the woods. I love this place. I've grown to love it, not to be afraid of it anymore. And when you love something, you want to protect it. You want to take care of it. So I'm very much aware of when the county wants to spray insecticide, pesticide on the trees. I protect them. When people come to the Zendo and want very kind of mindlessly, as we're walking through the woods, to just break off a branch, just to do it, I remind them that that is a living being. I want to protect and care for all those beings whom I've grown to love. And so when we're mobile, when we move around a lot, it's like, it's almost like being promiscuous. That just occurred to me. I've actually been married a couple of times. And this has been the most enduring relationship that I've had in my 81 years of life. And it's a really important one. As in any intimate relationship, when we're too busy, restless, moving around from here to there, jumping around from place to place, both emotionally, physically, we are less patient. We're less generous. We're less curious. We're less tolerant. We're less careful. and less able to see clearly. And caring for the natural world demands clarity. It demands energy, which must arise from clarity. What is needed here? And compassion. And when we race around and have this very sort of eclectic, digging a lot of shallow wells, we are much less able to be clear about what is needed from us. So taking our place in the community of life, beyond stopping and staying put, we must rest, settle. Because even if you stay put, you can be restless. You cannot really dig deep. So rest is another way of being, which is very hard for many of us to do, to really rest. It's actually revolutionary in the current culture because it's antithetical to cultural values and social expectations. Productivity governs our lives. If we're not doing, we're lazy. This practice is often regarded in that way. Many of our Sangha members have to answer to family and friends who say, "What do you do on Sunday there in the forest at Oan Zendo?" And they have to say, "We just sit." Just sit? Your to-do list. What about your to-do list? So on our to-do list, this is not the squeaky wheel. We may start with our practice of just sitting, being first on the list on Sunday in particular, and then we get a phone call or something is happening in our household, and okay, it goes down one. And then you see the point that I'm making. Slowly but surely, our to-do list takes over, and our not to do, we should have a not to do list in which our practice slowly descends that ladder of priorities. So we're working against cultural norms of it's really it's a form of resistance to social demands. And it's also very hard when we stop and stay put to fully inhabit our bodies because of this restlessness. Some of you may remember a wonderful sentence from James Joyce's Dubliners short story, in which he says, Mr. Duffy lives a short distance from his body. We could say that about the earth too. Even though we are embedded, in fact, made of the earth, we somehow live a short distance away. We're never quite there. So in Zazen, we practice inhabiting our bodies, inhabiting our places. There is a wonderful book, which I highly recommend, by a woman named Tricia Hershey. And she has, the book that is entitled Rest is Resistance. And she calls what we're resisting the grind culture. So many times we think of our lives as a grind. You know, we're grinding out stuff. We're grinding out achievements. We're grinding out all those things that can appear on our resumes. And that we can, sometimes I call these Post-its, that we can stick on ourselves. Dharma teacher, you know, mother, artist, gardener, friend, and we keep accumulating these Post-its that are kind of flapping around. They're never really part of us. They're just constructions that we're busily adding Post-its, thinking that we're becoming somehow real. The more stuff, the more achievements, the more Post-its we can cover ourselves with. And she has what she calls a nap ministry. She goes around preaching, taking naps. Isn't that wonderful? How often do we allow ourselves to take a nap? A long nap. And be restored so that we can be clear, so that we can be awake, and so that we can respond appropriately to what presents itself to us. Rest is resistance. It's revolutionary. So stop, stay put, and rest so that you have enough energy, enough clarity, and can allow the compassion that is our birthright to manifest. And so I want to end with this, another ryokan poem. Carrying firewood on my shoulders, I descend. Carrying firewood on my shoulders, I descend the mountains. Many green forested slopes. The path down the hillside is rugged and steep. From time to time, I stop to rest in the shade of a soaring pine and quietly listen to the songs of spring birds. Carrying firewood on my shoulders, I descend the mountains of green forested slopes. The path down the hillside is rugged and steep. From time to time, I stop to rest in the shade of a soaring pine and quietly listen to the songs of spring birds. So our lives are very much like carrying firewood on our shoulders. We have lots of burdens, struggles that we bear on these rugged slopes of life. The paths are often rugged and steep, but every now and then it is wise to stop, to rest, because it's only then that we can see, taste, touch, hear, be with all beings. Thank you for your practice. And now it's your turn. Happy to talk with you, have a conversation, answer questions, listen to your insights, maybe your outrage at what I've said. The floor is open.